To it, the very first topic here, obviously, the Packers are losing a couple of coaches from their defensive side of their coaching staff. And the first one being Ryan Downard, obviously leaving Green Bay to join Jeff Hafley's staff in Miami. It was actually Aaron Wilson on X that broke this news, said Ryan Downard will be a secondary coach for the Dolphins. And he had quote tweeted his previous tweet there a couple hours, I think before that maybe. Dolphins are hiring Packers defensive backs coach Ryan Downard per league source. So obviously, well, here's what I like about this, guys. First of all, I don't like that we're losing coaches, but I know there's a small portion of the fan base that are going to be mad at Jeff Hafley for poaching coaches away from the Green Bay Packers. It sounded like he and Matt LaFleur actually either met in person or had a conference call to discuss who he was interested in taking with him. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love that. I love the fact that Jeff Hafley wasn't a prick about anything. He, you know, at the initial press conference when they announced him as the new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, he was very, very, very adamant, very vocal about what Matt LaFleur meant to him and the opportunity he gave him and how much respect he has for Matt LaFleur and all the Green Bay Packer players. I just love how they've approached this whole thing. And then he reaches out to Matt to go, hey, you know, here are the coaches I'm thinking. Would that put you in too much of a bind? Right. I think that's absolutely awesome. Now, Matt LaFleur, it's very widely known that Matt LaFleur is one of the rare coaches that he does not block lateral moves either. So if somebody wants to go to another place, rather than be like a Kyle Shanahan or even a Mike McCarthy, where in the past they would go, nope, blocking them, not allowing them to leave. By the rules, you can block those lateral moves, but you can also grant permission to go. I love that Matt approaches it that way too. Like, you don't want to hold someone else out of an opportunity to better their family, right? And I know there's a portion of the fan base that'll probably go, if it don't benefit the Packers, I could care less, right? I get that standpoint, that hard-nosed, diehard fan mentality. I get it. I completely understand. But also, this is something that if you create a bad name for yourself across the league as a head coach, a general manager, what have you, that can really tarnish those future working relationships with other coaches, other players. If you have a reputation of being one of those guys that's not going to let someone make a lateral move, or someone that kind of holds a coach back by the rule book to make sure that you've got your staff as strong as possible, guess what happens the next time you've got an opening and you want to bring in 3 or 4 interviews? They start to turn down those interviews, right? They may take the interview to kind of prop their status up in other teams' eyes, and then turn around and go, nope, not interested. I'm taking this offer, right? They could use you in the process as well. So I just love that Matt approaches it that way, to be honest with you. So again, Ryan Downard is heading to the Dolphins. Rob Domofsky also tweeted out, as Aaron Wilson said, Packers DB coach Ryan Downard is joining Hafley's staff in Miami. A source said Downard will be the Dolphins' defensive passing game coordinator. So now you're getting details there, right? So it was actually a promotion, going to get more money. That's one step closer to being the defensive coordinator, although he is not going to be the defensive coordinator. We'll talk about who that is here in a minute. This news just broke before that. And so new Packers defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon will have at least one spot to fill on his staff. We now know it's 2. Spoiler alert, it's linebackers coach. We'll talk about that in a little more detail here in a second. So again, you're now looking for a secondary coach, right? So you might want to comb through. And again, when the announcement's made, whoever's going to replace them, we will do a full deep dive breakdown, coaching history, background, that whole 9 yards, so you know exactly what you need to know about that coach as a player, as a coach at the National Football League level, at the college level, at the high school level, whatever this coaching history says. So secondary coach, going to need that. Do you go comb back through the 2022 Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff and try to find a DB coach there? Do you, maybe promote from within? Maybe you've got a couple of assistants that you like to be just a secondary coach. Maybe that's the case, right? Maybe you just let Derrick Ansley do it and he'll continue to be whatever his title is, passing game coordinator or whatnot, right? Maybe that's the approach you take. I don't know. But we'll see here in the near future as they make those announcements. So Ryan Downard, been a cornerstone of the Green Bay Packers defensive staff for nearly a decade. On January 26th, obviously, it was confirmed he was going to Miami. He was a former player, all right? So his playing career was 2007 to 2011. He was a standout defensive back in college, known for his high football IQ and ball hawking ability. So in college, he played at Eastern Michigan University. In 2007, he burst onto the scene as a redshirt freshman, recording 6 interceptions, ranked 12th nationally. He was named an honorable mention freshman All-American. If you're wondering, Clayton, why he's not our coach anymore, why are you saying this? I want to give everybody a good idea of what we're losing, right? And that'll we can gauge that against who we fill that spot with. 2008 to 2009, he suffered back-to-back broken arms that limited his playing time during his sophomore and junior seasons. 2010, he returned for his senior season, serving as a team captain and finishing with 60 tackles. Professionally, he briefly played in the German Football League for the Dresden Monarchs. Now, what we always say, if those who can't teach, right? So he goes right into coaching. Coaching career, collegiate and high school. Downard began his coaching journey at the high school level before quickly moving through the college ranks. So he was at Shawnee High School. He began that there in Lima, Ohio, as a defensive backs coach. He moved to Toledo in 2013, serving as a graduate assistant on the defensive staff. He went to Texas Tech in 2013, 2014, served as a graduate assistant there. Then he moves over to Bowling Green in 2016, 2017, initially joined as a director of football operations in 2016 before being promoted to the safeties coach in 2017. Now, coaching career in the NFL in 2014, obviously he goes to the Cleveland Browns in 2014, 2015, served as a defensive assistant. That's where he first worked with Jeff Hafley and Mike Pettin, all right? Then in 2018, obviously, to today or to recently this year, defensive quality control coach hired by Mike McCarthy. They kept him on staff, obviously, 2019 to 21. He was the assistant defensive backs coach. 22, he was the safeties coach. 23 through 25, he was the defensive backs coach. He oversaw a secondary that ranked in the top 10 in passing defense for 4 consecutive seasons. That's right, even through the Joe Barry years. People still are mind-boggled that was the case. He notably assisted in Jair Alexander's 2020 All-Pro campaign and the 2024 development of Xavier McKinney. So obviously got several defensive backs that he really had a lot of success with. Now, obviously, he's hired by the Miami Dolphins here in January 2026 as the secondary coach for the Dolphins, reuniting with Jeff Hafley. And it's now being mentioned and reported that he is going to be the passing game coordinator. So that is our boy Ryan Downard. How do you guys feel about it? Is it a big loss? We can replace him. I know it's a lot of football experience, man. He's been around the game for a while to be such a young guy per se, right? Now let's shift gears to the other coach that we lost, and that is Sean Duggan. He's leaving Green Bay to join Jeff Hafley's staff in Miami as well. Tom Silverstein put the tweet out. Packers are going to lose linebackers coach Sean Duggan. I don't know if it's Dugan or Duggan. I've heard it said both ways. I'm going to say Duggan, Sean Duggan, to the Dolphins, and Jeff Hafley, sources said, might be his defensive coordinator. They were at Boston College together. So obviously Duggan has rapidly become a key figure on the Green Bay Packers defensive staff, a long-term protege of Jeff Hafley. He was promoted to linebacker coach in early 2025. Early 2025, following a successful season as a defensive assistant. Below is the chronological breakdown of his playing / coaching career. So he played from 2011 to 2014. He followed the footsteps of legendary linebackers at Boston College, establishing himself as a vocal leader. College, he played obviously at BC. His highlights, he appeared in 45 career games for the Eagles, totaling 115 tackles, 6.5 tackles for loss, and 2 interceptions. Leadership, he was voted a team captain for his senior season in 2014. Notably, he was both a high school and college teammate of Pro Football Hall of Fame finalist Luke Kuechly. I did not know that. Very, very interesting. High school, he attended St. Xavier in Cincinnati, Ohio, where he earned all Ohio Division I second team honors. Now, coaching career starts in 2015 here. All right. So Boston College in 2015 began his career as a graduate assistant at his alma mater. He went to Hawaii. Coach Lynn, shout out Hawaii in the house, right? From 2016 to 2017, served as the linebackers coach. He mentored, I know I'm going to screw it up, Jelani Tavai, I hope I'm saying that right, who would eventually become a second-round NFL draft pick. Went to UMass, University of Massachusetts, there in 2018. State in 2019, he served as the graduate assistant under Jeff Hafley. That 1 year Hafley was there at Ohio State. This was the start of a long-standing professional partnership. Then he goes to Boston College in 2020. Through 2023, reunited to the Eagles as the linebackers coach. In 21, he was named to the 24/7 Sports 30 under 30 list of top young coaches. That's wild. And then in 2023, he was promoted to co-defensive coordinator while continuing to lead the linebacker room. Now, moving on to the NFL, obviously, Jeff Hafley brung him with him from BC. So in 24, he served as a defensive assistant. He worked closely with the rookie Edgerrin Cooper, who earned PFWA All-Rookie honors and was the only NFL player to record 75-plus tackles, 13-plus tackles for a loss, and 3-plus sacks in 2024 season. Green Bay Packers last year, he was promoted to the linebacker coach on January 31st, 2025, after Anthony Campanelli departed to become the defensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Under Duggan's leadership, the Packers linebacker unit helped the defense finish as a top 10 unit in the NFL for the 2025 season. So again, what are we looking for, guys? We're looking for a secondary coach, right? And we're looking for a linebacker coach. That's what we're looking for now. So if I'm Matt LaFleur, I'm going to Jonathan Gannon and go, all right, Bob, bring me your top 5 choices at each of those 2 positions. I'll take you my top 5. Let's bounce it off Ed Policy. Let's bounce it off Goody even, right? Hey, do you feel like this lines up with what we're trying to accomplish as a team, right? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see who ends up filling those 2 roles there for the Green Bay Packers. So I just want to kind of comb through the chat real quick. How do you guys feel about it, man? Is this a huge loss? We can replace him. How do y'all feel about it? I'm interested to know. Everybody let me know real quick in the chat. I'm looking at the comments. I want to get you guys involved here before we wrap this segment up. How do you guys feel about losing these 2 assistant coaches here in obviously linebacker coach and secondary coach? Because I do feel like that Ryan Downard is the bigger one, although after reading the resume there for our boy Duggan, man, it does seem like it's a little, I don't know, man. He seems like a little bit under the radar for me, Maybe he was more important than I thought, Let's see here. The Adam Block says players not plays, smiley emoji. So I don't think he's too concerned about it, right? And number 1 Packer fan says, I'm already nervous about Gannon. You're not the only one, man. There's a lot of people that are nervous. I'm not nervous about Gannon. If anything, I'm the opposite. Like, I don't know if this makes sense or not, number 1 Packer fan, but when we were breaking it down the other day live on the show, as the news broke, I was kind of looking at it like somebody had asked the question in the chat, and it was a great question. They were like, how do you see this, with like if the window is open to win a Super Bowl right now, the championship window is open right now. If that's the case, then who gives you the best chance right now? And I had to step back because you guys know I was real big on Jim Leonard, right? I was also big on Durante Jones. Al Harris I was okay with, but those are all young, not necessarily young, but unproven, I guess young in a coach's eyes. They were unproven, right? They had never been defensive coordinators. You don't know how they're going to react to that. And then Jonathan Gannon was obviously scheduled to have an interview. And I had to shift gears to answer that question. To be honest, it was Jonathan Gannon. Like, that would probably be the better pick. Head coaching experience, dominated as a defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm hearing people say, well, he had better players with the Eagles. He had great players. Guys, the year that he was with the Eagles, they were a legit top 10 defense. When he left that next year, they fell down into the 20s. So one thing changed there, right? So maybe it wasn't just the players. It was, I think it had a lot to do with the way Gannon operated there as a DC. So when you say I'm already nervous about Gannon, LOL, I get it. I understand. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm not nervous at all. I'm just a little concerned. Is there not as much upside there? And we're going to find out. And it's wild to think you have to ask that question, right? Is there limited upside? Because the reality is with Jonathan Gannon, if he had not taken the head coaching job with the Arizona Cardinals, I think we would all agree it's a good thing that someone offered him a head coaching job, right? That's not a negative, right? So they seen him as one of the up-and-coming top coaches, top defensive minds in the entire National Football League, right? So if he hadn't taken that job, and let's say that he had the year he had in Philly, and he said, you know what, guys, I'm going to take a couple years off. I'm just going to spend time with the family. And then bang, all of a sudden he says, all right, I'm ready to coach again. He would be one of the top 3 candidates in the entire National Football League, probably for a head coaching job, to be honest with you. So again, are we allowing his stint there in Arizona as a head coach to really, really kind of muddy the water on how we truly see Jonathan Gannon as a defensive mind? I don't know if that makes sense or not. Let's see here what number 1 Packer fan said. That's a good point, but yes, that is what I'm talking about, the upside after Hafley setting the bar so high. Can Gannon continue from there? It's a great question, right? It's a great question. So I'm curious to know if you guys are watching this video back later. Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about the Jonathan Gannon hire? How do you feel about, more specifically, Ryan Downard going to the Miami Dolphins and linebacker coach Duggan going down there as well? Are those huge losses? Are they just, we'll be able to replace them just fine? Maybe you're more excited about going, hey, what if he can find a couple of coaches that he had on that Philly team that were dominant, right? That he can bring in to be his linebacker coach, to be his secondary coach. Also, what does that mean for the remaining staff members here in Green Bay? Because it kind of feels like, unless news is broke after we went live here, it kind of feels like to me, probably the only 2 coaches that are going to get poached. Hopefully that's the case. And then you could kind of reset, see who you want to keep. I would really expect Coach Ogabasi to go with Hafley. That's one I'd be surprised if he does. So maybe they're not done. We'll keep our finger on the pulse there. But let us know in the comments, how do you feel about losing those two coaches. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified anytime we go live in the future.